right. All right. So why do we choose the hands that we do when three betting? Okay. Exit. Quit. It is not looking so great. Okay. All right. So how do we choose the hands that we do when facing a three bet? So it begins with the razor's range. So for example, if we're talking about like the hijack's opening range, okay, so if we are playing hijack versus button, um, okay, hijack versus button at 40. What are we trying to accomplish? So for example, we are going to use the hijack's range at 40 big blinds. Hijack, 40 big blinds. Okay. Hey, welcome. If you are joining, if you've got any poker questions, please let me know. It's a lot easier for me to bounce ideas with somebody in the chat box. So if you got any questions, let me know. I'm looking over the properties of how to three bet somebody. So um, if you're curious about three bet pots and you're wondering why we three bet, why we choose certain sizings, stick around. Use the chat box. Let me know that you're gaining some value from this. Okay, so. Um, I primarily play tournament poker, so we're going to be looking at 40 big blinds, but um, it still starts with why we choose the hands that we do when we three bet. So if we are looking at a hijack's opening range, we need to understand that the offsuit side makes up 12 combinations. Okay, so you can think of this as surface area. Okay, all of these hands are a lot of combinations of hands. So 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. So like, why are we counting the combos? Um, because we need to know what we're trying to get to fold. Okay, so when we three bet from the big blind, we are trying to get hands like Jack 10 off to fold, Queen 10 off to fold, Queen Jack off to fold, King 10 off, Ace 9 off, Ace 8 off, Ace 10 off, King Jack off. And we haven't even discussed the suited side, but if we're getting all of these hands to fold, um, what is this? 8 times man, I'm running on little sleep. 8 times 12 would be like 96, right? Um, yeah, so we're trying to get all these hands to fold, and we're trying to get some of these suited hands to fold as well, right? Now we're gonna get some of these hands to fold. And these make up 4 combinations, okay? So they're gonna primarily call with pocket pairs, they're gonna call with suited connectors, some suited nines, some broadways and ace X, and some like king queen off, ace jack off, ace 10 off, and then they'll have a 4 betting range as well. Um, so yeah, when we're three betting from the button, we begin three betting from underneath their tens, on the suited side. Okay, so we don't necessarily want to have a 10 in our hand. Okay, so that's kind of what it comes down to. That's like the general heuristic to use. So um, if you understand that the hijack opens offsuit tens and suited sevens, offsuit tens, suited sevens, we begin three betting with our suited nines. Okay, the reasons that we bet are to um, get value from worse hand, get called by worse hand, or to get a better hand to fold. Okay, so when we threw at king nine suited and he folds king 10 off, we got a hand that was beating us 70% versus 30% to fold. Okay. Oh man. So by understanding opening ranges, we understand where we should be semi-bluffing from. So they open suited, they open offsuit, can hardly see, offsuit tens. So we three bet suited nines from the button. Okay, so they've opened and now we're sitting on the button here. Okay, so the first hands that show up, the first obvious hands that show up are suited nines. Okay, we use suited nines, suited eights, some suited sevens, and then like I call these like island aces, ace six, ace seven, ace eight. Suited nines, suited eights, these island aces, and that's on the suited side. On the offsuit side, um, we use some of these hands, offsuit broadways, up to about king queen, ace jack. So the alternative is if you always call these hands, you're occasionally getting squeezed off of your equity from the small blind, big blind. Even if you don't get squeezed, it dilutes your equity. Okay, so when you decide to call out of the button, the small blind's going to come along, 20% of the time, and they'll fold 80. So 20% of the time you're going to get diluted by the small blind, and then the big blind's going to come along 60% of the time, and then also dilutes your range and occasionally squeezes you off of your equity. So these offsuit hands here, um, they suffer a little bit more in multi-way pots, so we're kind of incentivized to just go heads up. You can get better hands to fold, give you a better idea of where you're at in the hand. You get to play a bigger pot in position with the initiative, with the uncapped range. So that's why these hands kind of show up. So what are we folding when we three bet? Heading back to the hijack. Okay, so this is the range that we're trying to get to fold right here. Okay. And getting some of these suited hands to fold 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. That's 20 combos. And then over here, we've got 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. That's 7 times 12 is 84 or something like that. Yeah, and most people are probably folding a little bit more. I think people are going to probably fold some of these two gappers. They're probably folding some more of these King X. Yeah, so let's see. Need the coffee to start kicking in. Yeah, so that they open offsuit 10, so we three bet suited nines on the button. On the button. They open offsuit 10, so we 3-bet suited 9s from the button. We also use offsuit Broadway hands. They suffer or they don't play as well in multi-way. They suffer or don't play as well in multi-way pots. Your equity gets diluted by small blind, big blind, or they move you off of your equity. These are just a few reasons why they move you off your equity. These are just a few of the reasons that we would 3-bet these offsuit Broadway hands. Remember, uncapped range against a capped range, in position in a heads-up pot. We don't dilute our equity, and we don't get moved off of our equity as often. Like if we were to 3-bet a hand like Jack 10 offsuit, look at the small blind's response. Like they fold ace queen off. This might not happen, but it's a huge accomplishment, right? If they do. For example, if I stereotype you and you're a little bit older, you've been playing tight, I just fold ace queen. I just fold ace queen. If you're a little bit younger, a little bit more active, then I might put in, a cold 4-bet. I don't have any non-all-in 4-betting, but if I was a little bit deeper, I would. But I think you get the idea. That's why we use suited 9s, suited 8s, some of these ace X, and then the offsuit Broadway. Now it's time to maybe consider drilling. Let's see. Start training. All right, hijack versus big blind. Jack 9-2 board. I think I'm going to be betting a good amount on this spot here. I don't know how much I'm checking. I think the board's too disconnected and too rainbow that I think I want to be betting. Definitely pocket 10s at a high frequency. Ace 6. Let's go and check our frequencies. If you're joining, welcome. This is how I study poker. If you've got any questions, there are no bad questions. I coach beginners all the way up to professionals. I specialize in tournament poker, but most of my clients are cash games. So if you have any questions on what I'm doing, or you want me to explain the software, how to simplify things, let me know. Let me know that you're enjoying this. Let me know that you're finding some value here. So heading over to hijack versus big blind, the stack to pot ratio is roughly 12. This is the type of stack to pot ratio you'd be playing in cash games, even though this is a tournament GTO Wizard subscription. I was playing till a little after midnight last night, so I'm a little bit slow here. So Jack 9-2, the overarching idea here is that you don't want to check on this board texture, okay? You're supposed to be putting in a small bet with most of your range. You shouldn't be playing check, so most of your range should be betting really small, and then you want to simplify the rest of these frequencies to a large sizing. So you want to play small, and then maybe the averages of 150%, the average of 100%, and the bulk of it coming from 66%. I would basically be playing 33%. I would be playing 33%. And then the other part of my range, I'd be paying about 75%. I would never check on this board texture, especially after looking at this. This board is too favorable for you. So if you look here, the range equity against the big blind's equity, 62% versus 37%. The pot should be growing with every part of your range. You're going to have extremely profitable bluffs on the turn. Okay, so you want to add money. The pot should be growing. And then, we'll just figure out how to play some random turn cards. So let's imagine that I bet and then I face a call. The big blind's supposed to be check raising around 11% or so. The hardest check raises to find on this board texture um, are going to be like naked bottom pairs. Maybe these aren't considered naked, but these are. So, I mean, I guess these have backdoor straight draws. Okay, so some of these hands have backdoor straight draws. A lot of people aren't finding this. So if people are not finding the 11% check raises, right? The big blind should be check raising when I bet a third, 11% of the time. If they don't, that means that our betting range is more profitable. So, for example, the hijack's supposed to be capturing 76.6% of the pot. Or another way of looking at this, the big blind's supposed to be capturing, I'm sorry, the hijack's supposed to be capturing 4.68 big blinds out of 6.8 when we take this flop against the big blind. This range versus this range, we make 4.68 big blinds. I slightly prefer looking at the percentage of the pot that I expect to win with my range. Anyways, the key here is hijack versus big blind. We hit this board too hard, our equity's too high. Do you need to add money to the pot? Okay, we need to stop thinking in terms of I have pocket fives this hand. I have ace 10 of diamonds this hand. It's how does my range generally approach this flop? And then as you get better, you don't necessarily have to think about how your range approaches. You can pretty much just start playing your hands, but that's after a lot of repetition on like how you should generally approach the spot. Got to figure out how frequently you need to add money and then the sizings you should be using. So in this spot here, add money every single time and then split your range between a third and then about 75%. Okay. And then if you look down here, some of the hardest hands to like bet big might be like a 5-6. It's backdoor straight draws primarily. Like if you want to use like a big sizing with like a 5-6 hearts, 5-6 spades, 5-6 of diamonds, maybe I wouldn't be using it with 5-6 of clubs, but you can run down towards the 4-3 and hit a bottom straight, and you can hit 7-8, and you're also getting better hands to fold. Okay, so those two questions need to run through your head constantly. Can I get a better hand to fold, or can I get a worse hand to call me? When you're betting 5-6 for a large sizing, let's just hypothetically say you bet pot. If you bet pot, look what they're folding, okay? They're folding some hands as strong as 9-8 offsuit, okay? That is a massive accomplishment, right? They're folding all their third pairs. So when you bet your 5-6, they fold 3s, 3-8s, okay? So you always have to be thinking, what am I trying to accomplish? Can I get a better to fold, or can I get worse to call me? Let's imagine that we bet a third, and then we're just going to explore how we approach random turn cards. We'll just pull up all turn cards, okay? So we've added money to the flop with our whole range, hijack versus big blind. We're playing deep stacked tournament poker, but this is still a reflection of 100 big blind cash games, as if you were to make it 4 big blinds pre-flop and the big blind calls you. You're still roughly playing a similar stack to pot ratio, which is the stack to pot ratio is just the pot size divided into your stack size, and that dictates the value thresholds on which you can stack off with, if that makes sense. Please, if you've got any questions, just let me know. So we've added money to the pot from the hijack. We bet a third. They decided to call us, and now we're exploring how we should play turn cards. And the way you want to figure out is you just look for patterns. This game is just a pattern recognition game. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is purple here is a really large sizing. You don't have to use what the solver recommends. It's just giving you an idea how the solver thinks. So low cards, 6 and below, is using primarily a large sizing besides the deuce. Okay, so 6 through 3, big sizing, ace, any suit, big sizing, and then if it hits anything in the middle, so 7 and below, we check and then use a sizing that's smaller than pot. Okay, I'm not going to really get into it. Let's just play another hand. 10-5-4 rainbow. On rainbow textures, you typically get to use large sizings. On two-tone or flush draw boards, however you want to call those, you typically don't use that big of sizings. You can use like 75%, 80%, and the reason why you don't use too big of a sizings on flush draw textures is because the turn is often going to bring in the flush, or at least 25% of the time or so, the flush comes in on the turn, and a lot of your hands get downgraded. Okay, so on rainbow textures, my ace 10 is rarely going to get downgraded. Sure, a king can turn, a queen can turn, a jack can turn. Cool, that's not that many cards, but my hands usually don't downgrade by a lot. So if this board was 10-5-4 with a flush draw, instead of having maybe like an overbet sizing, I might cap myself to 100% or 75%. And I'll show you that on the turn reports. Um, okay, so we get to this flop here. I think I'm going to, especially with a club in my hand, I think I'm going to start off with a pot size bet. Call. I think I folded out some fours. um, I'm beat by ace three. I'm beat by 3-6. I'm beat by two pair combos. I think when I have a club in my hand, I think I'm gonna raise. I think I'm gonna get a thick street now before the board changes. Okay. Any jams, and then we're stacking off here. Okay, he wrecked me. All right, 9-5-2 texture. I got 2 overcards to the 9, and I have a spade in my hand. I think I'm gonna size up to around 66%. I'm just trying to get better hands to fold. Okay, so like I would try to get a hand like Queen 10 of Hearts to fold. Queen 10 of Hearts has me dominated. If I size up, I might get pocket threes without a spade to fold. Okay, so we got King 8 to fold. That was a pretty big accomplishment. King Queen X. Okay, this board is static. I've got top pair. I've got a backdoor straight draw. I have a club in my hand. I think I'm gonna want to add money to this pot frequently. I can just start like if I'm betting like a third with some bluffs, for example, I can get hands like ace three to fold, pocket twos to fold, maybe sixes are folding. But I think with this one, I'm gonna start off with a smallish bet of a third. He calls, the turn's a 9. This is a pretty good turn card. I block Jack 10. I block calls that had backdoor diamonds. Like I block Queen 10 diamonds. I block Ace 10 diamonds. I block King 10 diamonds. So we're going to double barrel this turn card, and we're likely checking the river. So I think we're going to size up to about 83. Just try to get called by a weaker king. Remember, he's in the big blind, so you can have, King 4 hearts. You can have King 6 clubs. We'll go for one more thick street, and then we'll check most rivers. He calls again, and that's not the greatest river card. I'm not sizing up on the turn with the queen, so I really don't have the trip advantage. I do block Jack 10. I don't really like to have a diamond in my hand because when he calls the turn and he leads the river, he'll do that with some missed diamonds. So I don't think this hand is the greatest hand to have, but once again, I only need to win this pot 20% of the time just to break even. Okay, so he just needs to find a bluff. One of every. What am I? I'm just gonna call here. Trip queens. Okay. Yeah, he just needs to have a bluff one out of every 5 times. Okay. Queen 8-4. I got 2 overs to the queen. I got clubs in my hand. The board's disconnected enough that I want to add money to the pot. If I bet, I think I just size up because I'm going for one street of thick value when my hand is generally ahead. I don't expect to have more than like 52% equity. Okay, so I'm just putting in a value bet, and the board's going to change, and that's all I can do here. I'm just trying to get called by like Jack 10s, charge some Ace 7 of spades. I might be able to get better hands to fold like pocket threes, Ace 5 of hearts. So I've strengthened his range by sizing up. Let's see. Okay. How do I want to I'm definitely checking. Sorry, what am I thinking? Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be checking here. Okay. The river's a 6. I don't think we use these type of hands to bluff, so we're just going to check and hope for the best. 10-8. Okay. Okay, board is 9-8-4. It's rainbow. I think this texture calls for a size up. I've got backdoor straight draws, and I have an overcard to the 9, and I have suits on board that typically calls for sizing up. I don't know if pot's going to be the one, but I think because this hand can barrel a lot of turns at a pretty high frequency, I think we want to keep his range a little bit wider, go for 66%, and then follow through on a lot of diamonds, on 10s, on jacks, maybe on a king or an ace. I guess we should have sized up a little bit more. The flop is king 10-2. I've got ace 8. I think we're supposed to be range betting this spot, so I think I'm just gonna add money to the pot, like with every part of my range. So, in other words, I'm gonna be range betting the spot. King 10-2 folds. Got 5-3 to fold. Okay. The board is king queen 5. I think I'm gonna be betting this hand. One of my worst queens that I open. I might have queen 7 that I can consider checking back. Do I get to range bet this spot? I don't want to bet my jacks and 10s every single time. I think we do have a checking range. I think we play big. We might even play small. Like ace 10 gets to fold out 4s. So I think with this hand, we're just going to go a third and kind of lean on our range advantage, deny some equity. Considering we have the spade draw, I think we have to call. We only need 26% equity. We likely have that against his full range. Against the jack turn, I think we have to give up usually against a follow through. It's not that great of a turn card for him. So I think we're gonna fold here. His follow throughs would be what would it be? Like check raising like ace 5 hearts, check raising like 6-7 hearts, 4-6 hearts. So I got bluffed, okay. All right. I have ace 6. I have a really garbage hand. The board is two-tone. I don't think I get to play range bet. And the reason I don't think we get to play range bet is because we have a lot of whiffs. I'm not exactly sure, like, but all of our whiffs are actually somewhat decent. Jack 10 off, queen 10 off, ace jack off, ace 10 off. Anyways, with this hand, I think we're going to go for a third. And then I had intentions of following through on. Okay, so this is a wet and dynamic board texture. I don't have the luxury of playing a massive pot with top pairs and over pairs. I can go for a thick street now, like pot, and then I'll slow down on turn cards. I think our sizing is capped to pot. This is a really good example of the board changes so frequently on the turn. Like, what's a great turn card? A 3, that's not a spade, that's not a heart, a 4, a 5, and a 6. That's about it. So let's go pot bet. And I don't think this is a good turn card for my range. I don't think this is that great of a turn card for my hand. Like, my instinct that I have to fight sometimes is that I should bet this hand to make it easier to play on the river. I should bet this hand so I can check back the river. I should bet this hand because the big blind will check back more frequently. I don't think that's the right way of playing this hand. I think I need to check. If the queen was a diamond, I think we might be able to keep betting one more street and then check. Okay, the board kept getting bad. It kept getting worse, I should say. And now we're just going to check and roll this hand over. Okay. 6-7 of clubs. We get to be a little bit more polar in position. This combo has nothing going on. The only thing that's going on is running 8, running 9, and sometimes I'm just going to lose to queen jack. So I think we still need to bet this hand because the king and the 10 are concentrated around my offsuit opening range. So, man, this is a tough one. Let's see, king 10-2. What am I trying to fold out? I'm trying to fold out like queen 3 clubs, ace 4 clubs. Let's just start off with a third, and then we should probably figure out how to play. We should probably figure out how to play these type of hands after we bet the flop. Okay, this is a range bet spot. Go small. And then what do I... Then I'm imagining we check once we catch up. Okay. Wow. Okay. We're just trying to fold out a 10 here and some queen jacks and ace jack. We don't even need a pot bet. Let's just go 83. Just trying to fold out queen jack. The 10. We're just trying to fold out the second pair here. That's the target. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. Let's see here. We've got ace 3, queen jack 6. Do we play any checks in this spot? No, I don't think so. Like our worst hands that on the offsuit sides, like ace 9, everything kind of hits it pretty hard. Ace 10, king 10s, king jack, ace king, ace queen. We're gonna have like pocket 7s, pocket 5s here that probably want to bet. I'm guessing this is another range bet spot. We get called. That's not the turn. Or is it the turn? Do we pulled out king jack, spades, 6x, and 7s? I am unsure what to do here. Maybe we check and then fire to the river. Whoa, what was I supposed to do on the river? Or what was I supposed to do on the So I thought we bet everything here. Okay. Bet everything. Bet everything. I thought there was a chance that I would have to double barrel this exact combo on this turn. Interesting. Okay, so my turn bluffs are lacking. My yeah, I don't have enough turn bluffs in this spot. Hey, welcome if you are joining. Stick around if you want to learn anything about poker. Okay, I'd love to show you around on the solver, answer any type of questions you might have. I'm just here studying hijack versus big blind. This is an MTT um, solver, but if you play cash games, this will still relate because the stack spot ratio that you play at 100 big blinds is very similar. If you play 100 big blind poker, whether you play 1-3, 2-3, or 3-5 or 5-5, and you buy in for 100 big blinds, and you open to 4 big blinds, and the big blind calls your 4 big blinds, you're playing 96 big blinds, and the pot's 8 big blinds. It's roughly a similar stack to pot ratio. So that's exactly what I'm studying because I play both cash and I play tournaments. I'm a tournament specialist, but I play a decent amount of cash. Last night I was at the casino until like 1 a.m. So I'm trying to put in the reps and get some more work done. So, all right. So King 10-7 here. I'm going to be continuation betting with pretty much every single hand, I think. Every hand that shows up in my range. This hand specifically, I think I'm going to start off with the third. Go from there. The target is becoming the 10. If I continue betting, the 10's not going to fold unless I size up on the turn. I think I'm just going to bluff the river if the river comes diamond. Please use the chat box if you're finding any value. There are no bad questions. Okay, I don't really want to have a jack in my hand. I want this guy to have hands like jack 9, jack 8, queen jack because I beat those hands. I don't think this is the right hand to use as a bluff anymore. I'm going to just try to roll this hand over. Okay. Let's see. Let's take a look. If you're finding any value, please use the chat box. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know if you have any poker issues, troubles. Are you having a hard time 3-betting? Do you not understand the math? Do you not understand what a range bet is? That's what I'm here for. I'm trying to show people how professionals study. So please, I encourage you to use the chat box. I need to know that this is something people want to see, and if they don't want to see this, I need to change format. I need to change into something different. So, yeah. So how do we approach King 10? What was it? King 10-7? I thought I pulled it up. All right. So King 10-7. The first question is: should we be betting our entire range? That's the first question. King 10-7. I thought yes. I think I should be betting every single hand in my range. Okay. So this is true. So that's the takeaway here is you don't want to play check, okay? You want to be betting everything. Typically, I use 2 different sizings when I play post flop. My understanding is if you don't play check, you should be playing small and then big. If you do play check, we'll say that check is an X, okay? So if you do want to play a checking range, it's typically check sizing and bet big. Okay, that's how most professionals that I work with that study approach the spot. They keep it binary post flop. So in this spot here, I would pretty much say I'm not playing check, and I'm going to play small with most of my range, and then I'd play some large sizing, which would probably be about 75%. You can use this to check your current play and give percentages. What do you mean by give percentages? Welcome, by the way. Short on everything. Thanks for being here. Please ask some questions. Use the chat box. I play tournament poker professionally. I also play cash games, so I can answer any type of poker questions you might have. Okay, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to offer it for free. Of course, I coach and things like that, but that's not what I'm here for. So, you can use this to check your current play and give percentages. What do you mean by that? If you could expand on that, that'd be super helpful. So I had ace jack offsuit. Let me just double check my combo. Diamond club. So I had ace of diamonds, jack of clubs. Okay. It uses all sizes. It considers sizing up, which I didn't consider doing. Okay. So I think it's just because it's a value bet. So if we go to equity, and I had the ace of diamonds, jack of clubs. So here it's basically saying, hey, you've got a really strong hand. It's worth 57% equity. Put in a big sizing now. You can get better hands to fold, and you're just clearing out some outs too. So what I mean by that, so like let's just imagine that I pop betted. So I went to 100%. Take a look at the better hands that are folding. When I have ace of diamonds, jack of clubs, take a look here. So if I go to under pairs, take a look here. All of these hands folding, and those hands are beating me. Second pair, some 10s are beginning to fold versus a large sizing. This is a huge accomplishment. All I have is ace jack. Okay, I got an over to the king. I got a gut shot, but I'm doing good against a random 10s. random 10s that don't have high cards. So I'm doing good against 10-9, 10-8, 10-5. Remember, we are playing against the big blind. So wide range. Yeah, I didn't think about sizing up with this hand, but in hindsight, now I know. We are getting tons and tons of folds. These are all, this is a filter for everything under top pair. So if you see here, I ran a filter, everything under top pair, they're folding 76% of the time. Okay. All right. Let's see. Wow. Okay. So I need to consider sizing up. That is really good insight. Okay. So we went a third, got called, and then we got a 5 of diamonds. Bet a third, call, 5 of diamonds turn. And the big blind's supposed to be checking probably everything. Okay. And wow. We fire with everything here. Okay, let's see. Short on everything. Reply. Okay, so where do my bluffs come from? Okay, these are my bluffs. These are all under 50% equity. Weak ace X. Under pairs are bluffing, and then I'm using all the cards that wrap around the 10 to bluff. Okay, got it. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay. We have pocket jacks on queen 8-5. I'm gonna be betting. I'm always leaning bet. So yeah, I'm gonna be betting at a pretty high frequency here. I open offsuit 10s and suited 7s. What hands do I not want to bet? Do I want to bet my 8s? Do I want to bet jacks and 10s? I want to bet ace king. I want to bet, yeah. So I'm going to be betting this hand. I don't have suits on board. We'll just, okay. All right. So I misunderstood the spot. Let's try to figure out what I'm doing incorrectly or why I'm not understanding the spot. Maybe it's a little bit too, it's too connected. There's too many draws that I need to develop a checking range. So let's hurry up and get to that node, and then I will try to figure out why I'm not understanding the spot. All right, so why am I not understanding Queen 8-5? Because I don't understand it. Okay, this is probably a spot that maybe shouldn't be ignored. Maybe we should be playing maybe check. Okay, so I think we need to be playing check and maybe B66 or B75. So 69.3% of the pot. Oops. 4.23. Okay, 4.23, and let's try to simplify this to check and 75. Check and 75. Let's actually pump that number up. So I want a little bit more defined checking range, because otherwise I would just this is super hard to. Most of the checks come from this area. Okay. Um Can we get away with not playing a checking range? Or yeah, let's just see if we can get away with no check. 4.23 is the number. Interesting. Okay, on super dynamic, maybe we can get away with a quarter. 4.15. Okay, so we're losing like 8/100ths of the pot. Okay, it seems like we have to play check. check and pot. 4.23 is the number we're going after. 4.23. And I think it is better to look at this here. Okay, so I should be playing checks with middle pairs. Okay, so I want to be checking like jacks, tens, nines, and I want to be checking my worst eights, betting my top pair of top kickers that can outdraw the king. Super helpful. Okay, 9-4-3. Big blind doesn't defend too many threes or fours. I'm kind of concentrated on the nine. I have ace nine offsuit. I think this is a spot for a size up. I think this is a spot for basically like one straight. I think my hand has like 55 to 57-ish% equity. And that's wrong. Got it. The turn to 10, I've strengthened the hell out of their range. I don't think I'm going to add money to the pot anymore. Okay, I just keep butchering it. Am I trying to bluff now? Let's try to win this pot. You mother... Whoa, he called me with king queen to a pot-sized bet. My God. All right, what am I doing wrong here? What do I not understand? Oh, snap. It says don't use pot, use overbet. Wow. That is cool. Small and large. So maybe I would want to play. So 66.8%. I think we can get away with not checking. 66.8%. 66.8%. Got to remember that number. 66.8%. Okay. What about pot, no check, and a third? 66.8. Cool. So this is a spot that the solver recommends. The solver recommends checking. It's probably more effective to not play check and just bet a third and pot. And it's simpler, and it makes a little bit more money. 1/10 of a percentage point more of the pot you gain by simplifying. So some of the hardest hands to find will be like a 7-8 of clubs, 8-6 clubs. Interesting. Let's imagine we pot, they call, random turn. Where do we get our bluff from? Jack tens, ace twos, ace fives. What else? What else? Do we keep bluffing under pairs? Do we bluff with deuces, fives? I know we're bluffing ace two, ace five. We're probably bluffing like king five. Remember, can't read your name. AI viewers, streamboo.com. Cool. Okay. Where are we bluffing from? Where are we bluffing from? Yeah, so our king X suited, king five, king six, maybe king eight, ace two, ace five, jack tens, and maybe queen tens. Nope. Nope. Only flush draws, so we would be bluffing too much if why do I want them to have ace X in the range? So king five, no fives and sixes, but 5, 6, 7, jack and queen 10. So if I pot, I'm gonna get them to fold ace high now. Okay, a good chunk of the range is gonna be like ace queen, ace jack, ace 10. All right, cool. Cool. All right. This board is dynamic and it's wet, and the board is often going to change values on the turn. With that being said, I have a 3-card gut shot. I have an overcard to the queen. I can get folds from like sixes through deuces. I can get folds from ace 2, ace 3, ace 4, some king 5 clubs. I think we want to add money to the pot frequently with my range. I think I'm adding money with every single hand. So let's go a third, and then we'll fold to a check raise. Got my ass. Okay, we cannot get away with playing a range bet strategy in this spot. Maybe we should be playing check and half pot. So the number is 66.1. Okay, so 66.1 is the number that we capture out of this pot. Okay, so our range collects 66% of this pot on average when we take this flop. Okay, and when we're trying to simplify our strategy and try to keep the game as simple as possible, we need to figure out, can we remove checks? Typically, when you see a number this high, you cannot. You should be developing a checking range. You don't want to be betting all your eights. You don't want to be betting your like nines, tens, and jacks. You don't want to get moved off of certain hands. So I'm just going to check it. I'm just going to check, can we get away with checking and just maybe playing like B20 and maybe B50. So 66.1 is the number. 66.1. Let's see what the solver recommends. Check. Okay, so by simplifying the game, we increased our checks, and we're playing 67% and 40% checking. We increased by 2/10 of the size of the pot by taking this approach. And now the question is, can I range bet? Can I get away with coming up with a lazy strategy? And when I say lazy, I'm just trying to simplify the strategy while not sacrificing expectation. I want to get away. I want to see if I can get away with betting everything. So let's remove the check. Let's add a small sizing. Let's call it 20%. And just see, 66.1 was the initial. Okay, 66.1, we would be sacrificing 2/10 of a big blind if you were to remove the check from your strategy. Okay, so in this spot here, can you simplify this spot? So the solver wants you to incorporate a checking range on this board texture of Queen 8/7. Okay, let me pull it up for you. So hijack versus big blind, we're playing about 80 effective. Similar stack to pot ratio if you're playing 100 big blinds in a cash game at the casino. Okay, you open 4 big blinds, big blind calls. Okay, the solver recommends playing a checking range. Okay, this is a range, this is a frequency that you shouldn't be ignoring. Okay, 35% is large enough to pretty much have to develop a checking strategy. So I was checking, can I get away with not playing a check and just add money to the pot with everything for a small sizing? And the answer is yes. Okay, so 66.1%. And if I choose to play a more simplified approach, it says here that if I just use a smaller sizing and a 67% sizing, we are only sacrificing 0.2 percent of the pot. Instead of 66.1, it's 65.9, but it's simpler. I bet everything. It's probably not going to make a big difference in the long run, because the follow-up would be, okay, let's imagine you bet a small sizing. Okay, are they finding 20% check raises? If the answer to that is it's likely lower, then we aren't actually sacrificing expectation. We aren't sacrificing those 2/10 of a percentage point. We're not sacrificing that anymore because we're not getting moved off of our equity as often, which means that our continuation betting range EV goes up. Okay, so are they finding all of these check raises? Okay, most of these check raises are spade draws. Okay, sure, maybe they'll find these. These are a lot harder to find. 6-4, 5-4. These are just gut shots with a backdoor straight draw. Give me 1 second while I check on my dog. Okay. Okay. Are they finding check raises? Yeah. So I think it's very clear and very obvious that if you didn't want to play a checking range in this spot here, hijack versus big blind, put in a really, really small bet, or um, put in like a 66 sizing. One of these. You're not going to be losing any expectation because they're supposed to check raise you at 20%. Unlikely happening. All right. Board is ace queen 9. This is the type of board texture that plays large sizing and check. We're really not incentivized to bet the middle part of our range. Pocket kings, no real incentive to bet. Doesn't require protection. A lot of our hands don't need, or a lot of our hands don't even go for 3 streets of value. All my middle pairs, queens, jacks, tens, king queens, queen jack, queen 10, all these hands are probably going to want to check. So the only hands that are going to go for 3 streets of value, ace king, ace queen, pocket nines, pocket queens, ace jack, and that's about it. So here we're going to be playing a checking strategy and a large betting strategy. So this hand does not fall into a large betting strategy. Because it doesn't fall into a large betting strategy, I'm going to put it into a checking node. Turns an 8, jack 10 gets there. I'm likely going to go for a bet on the turn. I'm just trying to get called by worse queens, queen jack, queen 10, queen 7, 10 9, jack 9, 10 7, king 8. I'm only going to go for 1 street, so I can maybe just go for half pot. Okay, and that's wrong. And then I'll just check this river. Okay, let's take a peek. Why does it say okay, let's see. Pocket 8s. I think I have to develop a checking range on these board textures. So I think a common rule, I think on like high card, 2 low cards, and flush draw, you have to develop a checking range. There's too many hands in the middle that are just gonna get blown off of the equity. So like I have so much like ace 9, jack 10 offsuit, 6 7, 7 8, king 9 suited, ace 6 suited. I have way too much here that I think I need to check. With this exact hand, when I have a spade in my hand, I have pocket 8s, I want to bet quite frequently because of the spade. I need to deny equity to hands that are just going to fold. So hands like jack 10 clubs, just going to fold. Hand like 9 10 diamonds, just going to fold. So I think we're going to add money to the pot. And it turns a jack. Now we get to check. Okay. We will play check. River's an ace, and he goes for half pot, and then I will fold. Okay. Let's take a look. Stand by while I figure out if my stream is lagging. All right, let's see. What's happening here? What is- Okay, well, is my internet just messed up? Hmm. Okay, let's keep going. Um, I think I need to look into rejamming from the small. Queen 5-2. We need to check, is what I'm guessing. No, we don't need to check. Ah, that's annoying. I thought we needed to check. So maybe what we should do is let's just do a flop report. Let's call it flush draw. Let's call it not paired. I want to do king, queen, or jack as a high card. And I also want to do middle card, probably like 7 and below. And I think I want to do this. Okay. All right. I guess the question is, oh man, see if I can go a little bit longer. Okay. Let's see if I can go a little bit longer. So my thought is that I need a checking range on these type of board textures. Okay. So, let's see. I need to know if I need to check on some of these boards. Maybe king 7-6. Do I need to check? Because I am probably betting. Wow, I'm probably betting most of my range here. 63.4% of the pot. 63.4%. That is the number that we do not want to sacrifice. We can sacrifice a little bit. 63.4%. Let's say no check. And let's say we just wanted to play 67%, the whole range. Okay, we lost a huge percentage of the pot, like 2.5% or so. Okay, 63.4. Yeah, 2.5%, 2.4% of the pot. If we were to bet our whole strategy for a pot size, that is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to explore. Maybe we can play a third and check. 63.4 is the number. Okay, we're getting close. Almost sacrificing a percentage of the pot. That might be unacceptable. That might be unacceptable. Um, we're approaching the number that's basically unacceptable. The reason why I think the reason I think that number is unacceptable, a percentage point, is because if you think about the way casinos make money and you see the edges in a casino, 1 percentage point, 1.5 percentage points, two maybe, they're not big at all, right? So we don't get to uh, discriminate against 1%. It might not sound like a lot, but casinos are building empires off of 1%. So That's the same percentage that I think is a reasonable amount to sacrifice. Less than a percentage point is okay, but then you need to check the following node. Are they going to check raise us, basically? Like, let's ignore this 50%. Let's imagine we're going to play a quarter. King 7-6, two-tone, hijack versus big blind. We bet a quarter. They're supposed to check raise us at 18%. Okay? We aren't going to be sacrificing much of the pot if this number is lower than 18%. Okay? So then we have to scroll down to find the hardest check raises. Jack 9 offsuit. Okay? Jack 9 offsuit. Are they finding check raises when they have the Jack of Hearts in their hand? Jack 9 off. They got to find a check raise at roughly 67% of the time they need a check raise. If the answer is no, then we are sacrificing just a touch less. The next equity bucket up to find 10-8 offsuit. These are naked gut shots. Okay, they're just drawing to the 9 and they're blocking some hearts, and then they're going to represent some hearts if the heart fills on the turn. Ace 8, naked heart, 3-card open ended. Ace 5, heart draw, open ended, 3-card open ended. So yeah, I think we can get away with range betting these spots. A lot of spots we can get away with it. Not every spot, but yeah, that's kind of how you would check that. King 8, I'm sorry, Ace 8-6. I think we are going to start off with a half pot bet. I have suits on board. The big blind defends tons of 8s. Maybe when I have suits on board, I might want to go touchless. Let's just go with B66. That was my initial instinct. Okay, call. The turn's a queen. I'm ignoring the 8 and the 6 now. Irrelevant. Okay, the 8 and the 6 don't matter anymore because they got downgraded to third pair. So what are the things that matter? I'm targeting an ace now. I'm targeting a hand like 6-7 of spades, 6-5 of spades. Maybe hands like Jack 10 spades. So we are going to size up. I think when I'm holding a heart and spade in my hand, I don't need to size up as much. But maybe when I have ace queen of clubs, I would want to overbet. But with this one, I might want to put in my like 83% sizing. River's a 9. We are going to probably go for... I think when everything misses, you want to develop a large sizing. Because you're occasionally going to whiff with all your bluffs. So if your bluffs have to use a large sizing, then your value should probably fall in there as well. 10-9. We have a 3-card open-ended straight draw. Actually, I'm sorry. We have a gut shot. We have 2 overs to the 5. We have spades. Plus, my range is kind of all over this board. My weakest offsuit side is ace 9 off. And then a bunch of my suited, I have a bunch of suited 7s. I'm going to have king 7s, queen 7s, jack 7s, 10 7s, 9 7s. I think we're going to want to add money to the pot very frequently. With this exact hand, I might want to size up. You know what? I don't think I'm going to get a jack to fold now, but I think I'm going to get a jack to fold on the turn. I think I'm going to start off with 66%. And I think we're going to have to go for another bet on the turn. Try to fold out ace 10. Try to fold out queen 10. Try to fold out ace jack, queen jack, jack 10. Do we want to go polar? I don't think I need to go polar to fold out a jack. I think this 11 sufficient. I don't know that this is the hand that I want to have as a bluff. But I do need to fold out ace 10 diamonds. I need to fold out queen 10s. I need to fold out jack X. I'm not going to fold out a king. Maybe occasionally he folds out, king 7. Um, do I want to go all in with this one? I don't like my blockers. I don't want to have a 10 in my hand. I want him to have hands like queen 10. I want him to have hands like 10-9. Don't expect the king to fold. Right. Okay. All right. We're going to keep doing more hands. I'm going to keep going until I finish my coffee. So far, we've butchered about 4 hands, played about, I don't know, 15, 16 hands or so. Jack 9-4, I have a gut shot. I have backdoor hard draw. I have an overcard to the jack. I'm going to start off with a third. I'm frequently going to be following through on the turn. So the target on the turn is going to be the 9. It's going to be some naked flush draws. I'm not sure that I need to size up yet with this type of hand. Okay, ace 3. Queen 4-3. I have ace 8 offsuit. The 3 and the 4 are kind of irrelevant cards. He doesn't really defend many like offsuit combos that contain 3 and 4. I think I'm going to start off with a small bet. Go from there. Add money to the pot when I'm generally going to be ahead. My hand's typically going to have like between like 45 and 50% equity. I can make the pot grow. I can get hands that I'm beating to fold, but I just want to deny equity too. So if I bet a third with ace 8, if he folds a hand like jack 10 of clubs, that's an accomplishment. On 3-4-7 on the 7th turn, I think I'm just going to check. I think I'm going to just try to roll this hand over. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be bluffing when I have an 8 in my hand. I mean, it makes sense to bluff when I have an 8 in my hand, see if I can get him to fold a hand like ace 10. I'm actually going to change my mind on this one, and I'm going to try bluffing. I'm going to try to fold out a king 4. I'm trying to fold out ace 10, ace jack. King 4 and ace jack don't really require a large size, but it's kind of a polar line. I bet the flop, check the turn, and now all of a sudden I'm springing into action on a 4-liner. Let's make a mistake. Let's bet. I was trying to fold out a 4. I was trying to fold out ace 10. And what does he call me with? Hey, welcome to the stream. My name's Christian. If you have any questions regarding poker, whether it's cash games or tournaments or how to look at solvers, let me know. I can give you a tutorial on the solver. Right now, I'm just practicing c-betting against the big blind, which is a high frequency spot and adds like the most to your bottom line. These are the spots you basically need to master. I've probably played about 20 hands so far on stream. I do this almost every single day. So yeah, I'm here just trying to develop some pattern recognition, try to look at the way you're supposed to generally approach spots in a solver, and then I will input my opinion into the solver. I'll say, I don't think people are check raising enough. I don't think people are doing this, and then I'll node lock, and the solver can just reverse engineer and tell you how to exploit the spot. Okay, so the big takeaway on this spot, hijack versus big blind on queen 4-3 rainbow. The big takeaway is you don't play a checking range. You typically want to add money to the pot for a small sizing, and then you want to have a large sizing. When you see a big sizing and a small, you ignore everything else. You want to play small and you want to play large. Maybe you don't want to play 150%. Play maybe a third and play like pot, or a third and like 75%. So I typically want to look for what are the hardest hands to start bluffing. Okay, so I've highlighted the 25 to 50% bucket because there's purple in it. Okay, purple is our large sizing. Remember, you don't have to use an overbet. You can just go pot. You can go 80% of the pot, things like that. So what are the takeaways here? It's using king 5s, king 6s, king 7s. Most people are probably not going to do this, but remember, couple questions that you need to ask yourself when you're sizing up with some hands is, can I get a better hand to fold? Can I get called by worse? Okay, so the characteristics, king 5.
It's a 3-card open-ended, and you can occasionally outdraw the queen. Very important that you have the overcard, okay? Um, as you get into weaker hands, so I'll just turn on like equity, for example. So king 5 of clubs, 39%, you are still occasionally sizing up with this hand. It can turn a 2, it can turn a king, it can turn a 6, all right? When you get to jack 8, now it doesn't use the club. It's not using the club for a large sizing because now the properties are worse, much worse equity. We cannot occasionally outdraw a queen. So in position, you don't have to be as picky when you can outdraw the queen. So it's using king 5 of clubs, it's using king 6 clubs, king 7 clubs. It's starting to slow down on king 8, etc. But as you have a worse hand, you can't outdraw the queen. It stops pretty much using the queen. It stops using the clubs, I should say. So as you get closer to like jack 9, jack 10, these are like 3-card gut shots. Slightly better than using hands down here. So those hands would be hard to find. When we get to this river, I wanted to know, what am I doing with my ace-8 offsuit? I bet call, check, check. I had ace-8. Did I have ace-8? Yeah, I had ace hearts, 8 of clubs. I guess I'm not supposed to show up here very often with this combo, but when it does, it turns itself into a bluff. Let's just assume that we have a hand like ace-8 of diamonds or ace-8 of spades. Either way, it's turning itself into a bluff. Let's keep moving along. Let me close some of these out. Please interact. Let me know if you have any questions regarding poker. See if I can help you. See if I can answer some questions. All right. Hijack versus big blind, jack 9-6. It's a rainbow. It's disconnected. I have top pair. I have multiple draws going on. Okay, so I can hit backdoor hearts. I can hit backdoor straight draws. I can hit queen 10. I can hit 7-5. So with this exact hand, I'm definitely going to be adding money to the pot. Am I doing it with my whole range is a good question. Am I going to bet pocket 5s here? Am I betting a 9? No. So I think I'm going to have a checking range. So I think in general, when I approach the spot, I'm playing check and maybe betting like 75% of the pot. This hand, man, let's say I'm going to play check in 66%. So maybe I'll just bet 66 with this hand now. I plan on slowing down on some turns and rivers. Let's take a look if that's correct. Playing a checking range and then playing primarily check, primarily big. No small sizing. I don't really want to bet the middling strength hands. Okay, wrong. So we aren't playing any checks. We have a huge advantage here, 60%. Okay, so the takeaway here: don't play check. Primarily play check. I'm sorry, primarily play small, like a third, and maybe 66, or a third and maybe a pot, but don't play any checks. I'm not understanding that. Okay. Let's take a look at what we're trying to accomplish when we size up. Okay, so jack 9-6. Let's look at the hardest hands to find. Deuces, sizing up. Okay, you're gonna get a hand like pocket 3s to fold when you bet your deuces. Pocket 4s to fold. 6-5 of clubs to fold. You're gonna get some 9s to fold, right? Ace 2. You're getting a hand like pocket 3s to fold. Pocket 4s to fold. 6-7. Pocket 8s. You might be getting a hand like king 9 of clubs to fold. So if we check a large bet, like pot, for example, I'm not suggesting you use pot, but look, you head over here and you take a look. What type of hands are we folding? So what do we see that's in blue, basically? Okay, so under pairs, second pairs, third pairs, ace highs. So as I start clicking all these hands, 70% folds. A pot sizing only needs to work half the time to break even. Imagine that there's $1 in the pot. If you're risking $1 to win $1, it only needs to work half the time. You can lose the first time, wager $1 again to win $1, and then you win the next time. You've broken even. So because they're folding 70%, you're basically clearing like a 20% mathematical edge. Because remember, risking pot to win pot only needs to work half the time. This spot is just very profitable to make sure that you have enough bluffs in a large betting strategy. So very unintuitive to bet 2s, very unintuitive to bet 3s. This is just the way the math works. You don't need to concern yourself with your actual holdings if your play clears the math. Okay. So other hands that are unintuitive: ace two clubs, ace three clubs, right? Ace four diamonds. These bright colors here are, the legend is right here. Okay. Purple 150% pot. You don't need to worry about all these frequencies. Okay. My goal and my idea when I study is I'm trying to simplify as often as I can. My takeaway here: bet everything in your range for a small sizing and the other part of your range large. It doesn't matter what sizing you want to use. Do you want to use a slight overbet? Do you want to use pot? Do you want to use 80%? But you don't really want to use like half pot. You want to be definitive. You want to start folding out some type of hand. Either bet tiny or bet huge. Really don't want to play like the in between. Okay, don't use half pot. This is very effective. And you might even think, I don't think people are even calling second pair. Well, then your play is even more profitable, right? Like, imagine, do you think people are going to call queen nine of clubs every single time? If the answer is no, your play is more profitable, more mathematically, you have more edge. Basically, what this is suggesting is that when you take this flop from the hijack against big blind, you are capturing 75.3% of the pot. If they fold some of their nines, you're capturing even more. Another way of looking at it is you're capturing 4.59 big blinds out of 6.1. You're capturing even more if they overfold, if they're not playing all their nines as a call. Moving on. If you're enjoying this, consider liking, consider subscribing. I want to know that people are getting some value from this so I can keep showing up and doing this. I'm here to offer some free content, offer some free coaching, free exploration of a solver, show you how professionals study. So please interact. It's just you and I here. Okay. Anyways, can you at least let me know if the audio is okay? That would be super helpful. Okay. King 6-3, rainbow texture. I've got pocket queens. This is a spot where I would want to bet pocket sevens more frequently than queens. Like, I want to bet sevens full frequency, eights slightly less, nines slightly less, tens until we get to pocket queens. Pocket queens doesn't really require too much protection. Just an ace is a really bad card. That's it. But pocket sevens, you want them to fold a hand like 8-9 clubs, jack 10 clubs, queen jack offsuit, right? Those hands are typically going to fold. I don't want sevens to just get outdrawn easily. This is called an equity denial / protection bet. You can also get called by worse. So if I bet my pocket sevens, I'm going to get called by 6-5. I'm going to get called by ace-5 hearts, ace-4 diamonds. They might even check raise. But with this hand here, I think we want to consider checking. When I have a club on board, I'm more inclined. When I have a club in my hand, I'm more inclined to want to bet my hand. So basically what I need to ask myself is, do I get to bet my entire range? I'm going to call just because he's going to have bluffs like 4-5. He's going to have bluffs like 7-8, ace-2, ace-4, ace-5. So if he bets here, I'm going to fold, especially to that large sizing. So I'm going to check that if I should be adding money to the pot with my club more frequently. Should I be betting my entire range? Can we simplify this spot? Let me know if you're enjoying this. Let's go to hijack. Can we bet our whole range here? Everything for a small sizing. So I was wrong here. We do not need to consider checking. This spot is just too good equity-wise. So just add money to the pot for a small sizing. No large sizing. Bet everything and go from there. Okay, so we bet. You know what's funny here is, like, this hand here is like our biggest checking hand according to the solver. It's noise. Don't worry about it. Never need to do this. But what I'm saying is just this is the exact hand that might consider checking. It doesn't really require too much protection. You can only go for 2 streets of value. So you're basically, when you know you can only go for 2 streets of value, you have to check at some street. Is it going to be the flop? Is it going to be the turn? Is it going to be the river? Anyways, I should be betting my whole range here. We face a check raise. They should be doing with hands like ace-4, backdoor draw, ace-5, backdoor draw. The hardest check raises to find, probably these gut shots, 7-5, backdoor hearts. These are all gut shots with backdoor card draw, queen 5, 3-card gut shot, backdoor flush draw, ace 5 offsuit. You can outdraw the king. That is the key to when you pick these type of hands. The solver uses its equity and the properties of its hand intelligently. If you get moved off of your ace 5 offsuit, you check raise with your ace 5 from the big blind, and the guy re-raises you. Against a bet and a re-raise, was your ace 5 doing that great to begin with? Hell no. You had to drill your exact hand on the turn. You needed to nail your gut shot. So this is fine. These are the fine hands to use as a check raise. And if you get it through, if you check raise your 7-5 or your ace 5 offsuit, and we fold in position a hand like ace 10 offsuit, huge accomplishment. My 7-5 of hearts, my ace 5 offsuit, folded out an ace 10. That's a huge accomplishment, right? The two things that you need to ask yourself when you're adding money to the pot: can I get a better hand to fold, or can I get a worse hand to call me? Value, bluff. There's equity denial as well, but anyways, I played this spot wrong. I should just be betting everything. Onward. Okay, ace queen 9. I think the spot plays no check, and it plays primarily small and big. Does it play small and big? Am I going to bet my kings every time, my king queen every time, my pocket jacks, my queen jack, my queen 10, my queen 8, my pocket 5s? Maybe it's check and big bet. With this hand here, I'll just start off with a bet. I have intentions of betting on low cards and spades. I bet small. Now we need to check. Can I bet every single hand in the range? Otherwise, I need to develop a different strategy. I hope that I can show you something in the solver where it simplifies your life. Okay, we're betting everything. Okay, we are betting every single hand in the range. So when you see below 20%, that's the number that I use. You can use whatever number you want. Below 20%, ignore it. Okay, no need. So I'm playing small and probably pot. That's the strategy that I would move all these hands into the pot betting strategy, and a lot of these hands into this strategy. Small and big. Split your range. Keep it simple. You don't really want to balance 3 different. I play check. I play a third. I play half pot, and I play pot. It's too many hands to manage, and then you're not going to have an idea what to do on turn cards. So I had king 6 of spades here. I chose a small sizing with a spade because that's kind of how I play against human beings. I'm typically not playing against solvers in the real world. So I typically use small to keep the range as wide as possible so I can follow through on turn cards a lot more frequently. If I choose like a really large sizing, I don't follow through as often because I've strengthened the range. I bet huge. I'm typically dealing with just an ace and like the strongest queens, like king queens, maybe queen jack with some backdoors, queen 10 with some backdoors, some jack 10 with some backdoors. I don't want to strengthen them too much. I want them to continue with their 9s, and then I'm going to fold out the 9 on the turn. I want you to call with your queen 5 of clubs so I can fold it out on the turn. I wasn't trying to fold it out on the flop. I want that pot to grow so I can win a bigger pot on the turn. It's hard for sometimes to think about the future streets or what you're trying to exploit. I'm trying to exploit you guys calling too much with all your queens and all your 9s and all your gut shots, king jack, jack 10s, jack 8s, whatever, king 8 diamonds. I want you to call the flop so that I can bet on the turn and take the pot away from you. I don't want you to fold right away because this board is so favorable. I have a huge equity advantage, and I'm leaning on the strongest hands in my range. I have aces. I have queens. I have ace queen. I have ace king, and you do not. Otherwise, you would have 3-bet me pre-flop. So we are leveraging the fact that we have such strong hands that we get extremely profitable bluffs down the road, down the turn, down the river, okay? What am I trying to accomplish? I want the queen to call me. I want the 9 to call me. I want jack 10s to call me, king jacks to call me, because I'm planning on firing on a lot of rivers, so like on a lot of turns. So like, let's just imagine the brickest of bricks. Let's see how many profitable turn bluffs I have. I'm going to be betting a lot. It's going to be polar, but I'm going to be betting a lot here. 66, I'm probably not doing this. I'm probably betting a lot less than 66%, but I'm using quite a large It's very polar. You can see that it uses 200% and 125. I would blend both of the percentages. I would bet pot more than these numbers. So this is, what is this, 28%? I'm probably betting pot because the numbers are smaller. I'm using all of these hands. I'm giving it to pot size, and I'm going for maybe 40-ish percent. It's a bigger number than this, right? This is 28% of over bets. I'm using a smaller bet, therefore I get to increase my frequency. It's all about adding money to, adding the right amount of money to the pot is what the game is about. It's an investment game, and that's what we're trying to figure out. So yeah, I would be following through with a lot of these hands. The hardest hands to find as a follow through: pocket threes, pocket fours, king fours. These are pretty tough. I'm definitely not finding these, that's for sure. But if I know that they're going to have every king jack, every jack 10, every king 8 of diamonds, king 8 of hearts, and king 8 of spades, if they're going to have all their king queens, queen jacks, queen 10s, queen 8, queen 7, queen 6, queen 5, all a bunch of 9s, 9 10, king 9, all those, then I'm going to follow through a lot more frequently. Moving on. Queen queen jack. This is extremely favorable because the pair is so high. Once the pair is pocket 7s and below, we start checking more frequently because I don't open tons of 7s, but they defend a bunch of offsuit 7s, a bunch of suited 7s. So as the pair is higher, it favors me. As the pair is lower, like 7s and below, 6s and below, it favors them. Paired boards are the highest check raising boards from the big blind. But as the pair gets higher, their frequency should drop. They should be check raising around 20% on paired boards. And this is where I'll probably end the stream. We'll talk about paired boards. We'll talk a little bit about check raising. And yeah, we'll probably wrap it up. So on this board texture, I'm probably going to want to be betting everything. I want to bet my deuces. I want to bet my 3s, 4s. I want to bet my ace 9. I want to bet my jacks, ace kings, ace 10s, my 10 9s, 9 8s. Extremely favorable. So I think we don't need to bet too big. Okay. With my bluffs, let's say I have ace 10. Let's say I have ace king. Let's say I have 9 8 of clubs. I would like to fold out everything below my 9 8. So if I've got like 9 8 clubs, club, club, I want to fold out 7s and below. So what would be an appropriate size to fold out 7s? Probably around half pot. I don't think I need to go 66. With this hand, I'll just go a third. He calls. Ace king gets there. He doesn't have it. I have every set. I have 10s. I have jacks. I have pocket queens. I've got kings. I have aces. This is extremely favorable. So I'm going to have infinite bluffs, I believe. What am I trying to fold out? I think I can try. When I'm bluffing, I'm trying to fold out a jack. When I'm not bluffing, I want a jack to come along. So I think my range wants to add money on this exact turn. 80%, 90%. I think I have extremely profitable bluffs, so I need to be. I'm targeting the jack here. I'm targeting hands like king jack, jack 9, 10 9s, 9 8s, maybe half pot, maybe a little bit more. And then once we get to this point here, he's not going to have many 10s. I block it. He's just going to show up with a lot of jack X, queen X, and hands that contain king and something else. I think we're going to want an overbet. But the problem is I'm blocking this so hard that I don't think I want to go too big with 10s, but I don't know. I don't know what to do here. Big sizing. Hope he's got trip queens. I will be wrapping up soon. If you've got any questions for me, please let me know. If I'm providing you any value, consider liking, consider subscribing. I'm trying to get together a small group of people to study with me. 2 hours, $100. Group coaching is what I'm trying to eventually accomplish. Right now, I'm just going to do some free streams. Anyways, let's take a look at how favorable this is. This is such a good spot. We don't need a large sizing. Remember, when somebody can have all the equity, the moment somebody has 3 queens, all of our hands are basically like bluff catchers. All of our hands are basically downgraded once he has trip queens, right? So we don't need to make a large investment. And the small sizing is very effective because it accomplishes what we're trying to accomplish: deny equity. Make him fold ace three of clubs, right? Make him fold his under pairs. So when we bet really small, let's see what we're trying to accomplish. He's supposed to stick around with all the under pairs. Is that happening? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. He's folding a bunch of ace highs. Okay, that's a big accomplishment. Remember, when I have a hand like 90 to clubs and he's folding ace seven, king eight, that's cool. He's folding out ace high, king high to a small sizing. That's pretty effective. Some people might fold deuces, might fold threes, etc. And they're also not check raising these hands. So when we get to the turn here, like I said, this is an extremely profitable turn. So I think we get to bluff with a ton of our range here. Anything you'd like to see, let me know in the chat before I sign off. That'd be super helpful. We are checking a huge amount. We're playing large, okay? We are playing a large betting strategy. All of these colors here indicate bet big or check. Don't bet anything in the middle, okay? It doesn't accomplish much. So we look down and look for our hardest hands to find, because if you understand where the hardest bluffs come from, you can imagine that the average poker player is not finding the hardest bluffs. Therefore, their range is going to be too strong. And the counter strategy to a range that's too strong is by not paying them anything for too strong of a range. I'm going to fold. You don't have enough bluffs in that range. Therefore, I am punishing you by not giving you any money for it. So if you're in this spot here and you're in the hijack, you're supposed to be bluffing all of your open-ended straight draws and all your gut shots at some frequency. You're supposed to be betting your ace two, your ace three, your ace four, some of your ace fives, some of your ace sixes, some king six, some king seven, king five, and then some under pairs. If people aren't doing that, their range when they bet on the turn is too strong. The way you punish a range that's too strong is folding. Don't give them anything for it. And last thing I'm going to check is just paired board check raise from the big blind, and then we'll wrap up. Bet call, and then on this river here, once again, the hardest hands to find, I come down to this equity bucket here, and I look for the hardest hands to find. And you can see here that we're playing a really polar strategy. It uses really strong hands and it uses really weak hands. Nothing in the middle. The middle is all green. The middle checks, right? So this is a polar river betting strategy. So hardest hands to find: king X, ace X, under pairs. Cool. Let's explore paired flops. Show you that they're the highest check raising spots, and then we'll wrap up. Most people aren't going to check raise the flop as often as they should. Where is the, okay, there's 80. Big blind call. Get off my screen. Big blind leads low textures. They get to nudge the pot for a third on these low textures, 8 high, 7 high, etc. Big blind has a slight advantage on those. Let's imagine that the big blind checks, and we're going to explore paired boards. If you look at the highest frequency check boards, 6 high, 7 high, like I said earlier, 7 high and below, we actually have to check. Once it's above 7 high, you typically want to bet your whole range, typically. That's because the big blind has slightly more trip advantage And that's why we have to just add money less frequently, because they have the trip advantage. So when we bet on these paired boards for a third, you're going to see that they need to be check raising at a really high frequency. So if you add up these numbers here on the check raise, so this is 13%, plus another 6% is 19, plus another 2% is 21% check raising on paired boards. On every single paired board that you can imagine, we have them all right here. Okay, we've got them all right here. Okay, all right here. Most people are not check raising at 21%. Quite unintuitive, the check raising combos. So if I were to just select a middling paired board, let's go to let's just go to 10-3-3. So on 10-3-3, we're supposed to be check raising from the big blind with hands like ace 2, 9-8, jack 9 of diamonds, maybe some queen jack, queen 9, 4-6 diamonds, ace 2 diamonds, maybe some 6-7 diamonds where you can draw to the 8-9, you can draw to the 5-4. So take a look here. Nope. Hold on, let me clear this actually. Okay. You don't use 6-7 diamonds, but you can use like these are all flush draws. I'm not interested in looking at flush draws, so let's exclude hearts. Okay. Because we're check raising all of our trip threes, we need to be balancing that with some bluffs. So some of the hard check raises to find ace 4 diamonds, ace 2 diamonds, ace 5 diamonds, king 5 diamonds, queen jack, spades, diamonds, clubs, king jack, spades, diamond, clubs, king queen, 5-4. So what about on the offsuit side? Naked ace of hearts a lot of the time. Any questions before I wrap up? Thanks for being here. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully I provided you some value. If I did, consider liking, consider subscribing. That way it lets me know to keep showing up, keep studying, let people get some value from this. Yeah, I'll be signing off. Thank you.